Hello guys, today I'm just making a video on some basic insights on how to solve 5 questions related to the topic sine and cosine rule. I know many of you guys have this topic for your exams coming up, and I hope that this video might help you all to solve these type of questions more faster and more easily. Alright, if you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And yeah, let's begin with the video. Alright, so the first question states that we're given a triangle where we have to work out the value of x. So we have to give the answer approximately to about 1 decimal place. Now, one key point about this is that you guys have to remember that sine rule has a formula where you have a divided by sine of a, b divided by sine of b, and c divided by sine of c. When dealing with the sine and cosine rules, you have to remember that labeling the sides and the angles properly is really critical so that the letters for the sides and the angles correspond to each other. So what I mean by this is we're going to label this triangle as A, B, and C. So now these capitalized letters are considered as angles in sine and cosine rule. Now whatever is opposite to these angles will be considered as sides. So we're going to label the sides as A, B, and C. Now these sides are usually in lowercase letters, so lowercase letters are used to represent sides and uppercase letters are used to represent angles. Alright, it doesn't matter which sides you guys decide to call A, B, and C, just as long as the angles are labeled properly, it's alright. Okay, so now since we have the sides, we're going to now check where is the correlation. Now we have to find out what B is, and we're given what A is. So we're going to use A divided by sine of A is equal to B divided by sine of B. So you have A, which is 13, divided by sine of A, which is about 100 degrees, is equal to B, which is considered as X, and the sine of B, which is about 38 degrees. Now what you're going to do is you're going to multiply these values together. So you have about, let's say, 13 times sine of 38, where X is equal to 13 times sine of 38 degrees, divided by sine of 100 degrees. So you have X to be about, we're going to use the calculator, guys, just use the calculator, it's very simple using this since I'll calculate it faster. So you have 13 times sine of 38 divided by sine of 100. Once you do that, you will get a value of about 8.127. So you have X is equal to 8.1. Alright, so you have 8.1 centimeters. Now this is going to be your final answer for this question. Alright, this is usually for about 3 marks, so you guys can score those easy good marks. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Now the next question states that you have another triangle. Alright, you have to work out the size of angle X. Now in order to do this type of question, what you guys got to do is that you have to label the sides again. So you have anything opposite to the angles, you have A, B, and C. It doesn't matter how you label them, just as long as you get them right. Okay, now we are given the values of B and C, so we're going to use the correlation from the sine rule formula, which I've given right here. We're going to use the correlation B and C. So we're going to have B divided by sine of B is equal to C divided by the sine of C. So you have B, which is 15, divided by the sine of B, which is 60 degrees, is equal to C, 10 divided by the sine of C, which is going to be about X. Okay, so in this case, since C's angle is now given. Now how do you solve this? So now you're going to rearrange this equation. You have 15 times sine of X is equal to 10 times sine of 60 degrees, where X is equal to sine inverse, put in brackets, 10 times sine of 60 degrees divided by 15. Now the reason why I'm not writing any of this in decimal form is better that you guys have to write this in terms of these numbers. Do not calculate them in terms of decimals yet, since you want to get the exact correct value for X in terms of angle. So you have X is equal to sine of inverse, just hit that shift button on the calculator, and you have 10 times sine 60 degrees divided by 15. Put them in brackets again, and you should get a value of about 35.26 degrees. Now since we have to give the answer to about 3 significant figures, we have X is equal to 35.3 degrees. Now this is going to be your answer for let's say about 3 marks. Alright, so this is going to be the angle. Alright, okay, let's move on to the next question. Now, the next question states that you have to work out the area of the triangle ABC, and we're given the triangle and we have to give our answer to 1 decimal place. Now, this is very critical that you guys have understood this. So I'm going to label these sides in blue ink so that you guys can see clearly. So you have A, you have B here, and you have C. Now for the area of triangle, this formula which I've labeled right here, it really comes in handy when you know the 2 sides and the angle between them. So what I mean by is that you will have a triangle somewhat like this, so you have to know the 2 sides, and once you have an angle in between them, you can use this formula to work out the area of a triangle. Alright, so since you know that, alright, so we're going to check if we have 2 sides and an angle between them in order to calculate this answer. So now we have 2 sides and we're given, we're given this angle. This angle should not be given. This is something that we have to calculate in the question itself. So we're going to calculate this angle here, which is going to be about angle ABC is going to be equal to 180 minus 82 degrees plus 40 degrees. Now the reason I'm doing this is because the angles inside, all the angles in the triangle adds up to about 180 degrees. So we're going to use that in our calculator to get us a value of about 58 degrees. So now this is going to be 58 degrees. Now since we have an angle now found here, we can use the area of a triangle to work out the value. So we've been given the value of C, so we're going to change this equation. We can modify this equation a bit. So you have half times, let's say half times A times C times the sine of B. So now we have to calculate the value of A. Now this is where we can use the sine rule. So you have A divided by sine of A is equal to B divided by the sine of B is equal to C divided by the sine of C. So now we can use the sine rule equation to find out the certain value of A, since we're given the value of C. So we're going to correlate the equation in this form, where A divided by the sine of A is equivalent to C divided by the sine of C. Now using this equation, we have to find out what A stands for. Divided by the sine of A, which is 82 degrees, is equivalent to C, which is about 12, divided by the sine of C, which is about 40 degrees. Once you multiply these 2 values together, we're going to get a value of about 12 divided by 40, 12, so it's going to be 12 times sine of 82 divided by sine of 40. So we have that values there. So I'm just going to put that in a calculator, guys, so that we can calculate the value. And we get A to be about 18.487. The answer is supposed to be given to 1 decimal place, but we're going to leave it as 18.487 just to get the exact correct value. Now, since we know what A stands for, now we can use this to substitute in this equation. So we know that A is equal to half times 18.487, which is the value we have found recently using the sine rule, times C, which is a value of about 12, times the sine of B, which is going to be a value of about 58 degrees. Now the reason where I got the 58 degrees from is from finding out what angle ABC is. Now we're going to put this all in our calculator and check out the answer. So half times 18.487 times 12 times sine of 58. By the way, there will be chapters in this video, so you guys can skip between the questions and find them out, which questions you guys like. Alright, so you have 58 degrees, so you have 94.067. This is left in meters, so we're going to have meters square. So you have area is equal to 94.1 meters square. Now the reason why it is 1 is because we rounded it off to about 1 decimal place, so you have 94.1 meters square. Alright, that was good. Now let's move on to the next questions. Now the next questions is question 4 is a bit of use of the rules, cosine rules. So now cosine rules are used where the sides are not given, but you can find out, it's a good form in finding out a different form of finding out angles or sides. and you can easily find out angles using the cosine rule as well. So the cosine rule, you guys have to write this down, is that the cosine rule formula is a square is equal to b square plus c square minus 2bc cos of a. Alright, this is multiplied. Now this is going to be your cosine rule, which you guys are going to use. Now cosine rule uses the same thing as sine rule. You have to just label the triangle properly. So you have a, b, and c. You're going to label the sides which is opposite to the angles. Now once you do this, we have to find out what the value of x is, which is side a. So now in order to find out what the value of side x is, you have a square is equal to b square. Always write down the formula, guys. It's very critical to write down the formula. It might give you some certain marks. So here a represents x, right? So you have x is going to be equivalent to the square root. We're going to get rid of the square and make it a square root, where b is 10 square plus c, in this case, is 13 square minus 2. Put that in brackets, 10 bracket c, 13 times cos of a, which is about 100 degrees. So we're going to extend that square root. Now you're going to put this full thing in your calculator properly with the brackets. Alright, so once you put that in calculator, you should be getting a value of about, let's say, times cos 100, to be getting a value of about 17.724 and centimeters. Now since you have to give this answer in terms of 1 decimal place, you're going to have x is going to be equal to 17.7 centimeters. Now this is going to be your answer using the cosine rule instead of the sine rule. Now the reason why we cannot use the sine rule is because there are no 2 bits to use. Alright, so since we have a here, we need to know what b's angle is, or we need to know what c's angle is. Since there's only one angle, you can use the cosine rule to find out the sides of accordingly, and you can also find out angles in a way. So to find out angles, you're going to use this formula where cos a is going to be equivalent to b square plus c square minus a square divided by 2bc. This is just rearrangement of formula. It's the same thing. We're just rearranging this equation to make cos a the subject of the formula. Alright, let's move on to the last question. So now the last question is a bit involving a bit of brackets and a bit of surds, so we have to carefully analyze this. So we have to work out the value of what x is. Now since there is only one angle, the best idea to use is the cosine rule. So we have a square is equal to b square plus c square minus 2bc cos of a. One tip is how to recognize when to use the sine rule and cosine rule is whenever you have only one angle, it's pretty advisable, and you have like about 3 sides or something, you can use the cosine rule. It's really helpful. If you have about 2 angles and about 3 sides, you can use sine rule. Alright, so now in this case, since there's only one angle, we're going to use the cosine rule, and we're going to label this triangle as a, b, c, and you're going to label the sides as well, a here and c there. Alright, a, b, c sides. So now once you do that, once you label these values correctly, now you can quickly understand how to do this type of questions. Now you have to work out the value of x, and since we know that we have to use the angle, we can modify this equation as well to make it in the form of b, because we're using the angle of b. So you can modify it to b square is equal to a square plus c square minus 2ac cos of b. I'm just rearranging to make a here and c here, make b and cos b here. That's all. So that's just a rearrangement of the formula. So now once you do that, you're going to equate the equation again, where b square in this case is going to be the square root of 73, which is going to be squared, is equal to a square, which is 2x minus 3 square plus c square x plus 2 square minus 2 brackets a, which is 2x minus 3, alright, bracket c, x plus 2 times the cos of b, which seems to be about 60 degrees. Now since this is the square root, if we put this brackets as brackets square root of 73 and we raise it to a power square, it's going to cancel out each other to give us a value of about only 73. So you have 73 is equivalent to, we're going to open up the brackets of 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3 plus x plus 2, x plus 2. You guys have to be really good in, let's say, in opening up brackets. This is a lot of brackets happening here, so we have to carefully analyze this question. So you have minus 2, put in brackets. You're going to open up these brackets here. Once you do that, you have 2x squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 6 times cos of 60 degrees. Now once you do that, you're going to open up the brackets again, where 73 is equivalent to, we're going to open up these brackets accordingly, where you have 4x squared minus 2 for 6, it's going to be x squared minus 6 plus positive 9. There's a lot of brackets happening usually. This is a bit intense actually. So you have x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 minus 2, which is going to be a value of about 2x plus, let's say, 4 minus 3. It's going to be a positive 1, x minus 6 times cos of 60. That's going to be that's a really big deal of equations happening here. So once you do that, you're going to have a value of 73 is going to be equivalent to 4x squared minus 6, which is going to be minus 12x plus 9, all right, plus x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 4x squared minus 2x positive 12 times cos of 60. All right, now once you do that, we're going to rearrange all of these equations together to give us a value of about, since these brackets are all opened up, we're going to have minus 2 times brackets cos. Since it's minus 2, actually, what we have to understand is that cos 60 times minus 2 is actually minus 1. So technically, it's going to be minus 1. So what we can do here is actually, we can cut these out from the beginning at the first, so that we don't have to open up the brackets like in one form or another. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out cos 60, and we're going to cut out these values as well. So it's going to become a minus 1. So you have minus 1, right? So you have minus 1 without multiplying out. So we're going to delete all of this section. We should have actually cut it out from the beginning. So you have minus 2x squared plus x, since 1x represents x, minus 6. Now once you have that, you're going to have this kind of equation where 73 is going to be equivalent to 4x squared plus x squared minus 12x plus 4x plus 9 plus 4 minus 2x squared plus going to become a negative minus x plus 6. So now this is a lot of arrangement happening here. So once you have that, you're going to get an equation which we're going to sum it up here. Actually, we're going to delete this section over here so we have more space, guys. And so we have more space. So we have here 73. And once you do that, you have, we're going to make 73 on the right hand side, so it's much more easier for us to just grasp the idea. So we're going to rearrange all of this by collecting all the like terms together. So you're going to have 4x squared plus x squared minus 2x squared. So we're going to cut this all out. Minus 12x plus 4x minus x. When dealing with this kind of opening brackets, you guys have to carefully analyze this question without missing out any points, right? So you have 4 plus 1 minus 2. This is going to give about 3x squared. You have minus 12 plus 4 minus 1. You're going to put this in the calculator to give you a minus 9x plus 9 plus 4 plus 6 to give you a value of about 19. So you have a positive 19 to be about 73. 3x squared minus 9x plus 19, positive 73 is going to become a negative 73 with a 0. So we're going to make this equation in terms of ax squared plus bx plus c is equivalent to 0, we're going to make this a quadratic equation. So you have 3x squared. Okay, so you have, okay, if we zoom in a little bit just to show the working, 3x squared minus 9x, a positive 19. If you subtract with 73, it's going to become a negative 54. It's going to be equivalent to 0. Now we have got a quadratic equation here. Now the next step is to use this to find out the values of x. So since this is a quadratic equation, do check out my video on how to solve quadratic equations as well. I think I made a video, or let's just check it out. By the way, it'll help you guys understand how to find two values accordingly. So you have to use the calculator, by the way, to find out this value. So I'm going to use the calculator just for now. But the whole idea about quadratic equations is just to find two numbers that multiply together to give you the value of about, let's say, minus 54 times 3. You need two numbers that multiply to give you minus 162, and you need two numbers that add together to give you minus 9. So once you're going to do that, you're going to use these two values, or you could just simplify this equation. But since the calculator simplifies the equation, so we're going to use 3 is equivalent to minus 9 minus 54. So we're going to find the values of x. So x1 is going to be 6, and x2 is going to be negative 3. You could have either found out in the other way, where we can simplify this equation by dividing everything by 3, which would give us a value of about x squared minus 3x minus 54, which is divided by 3, should give you a value of about 18 minus 18. So now you can use this simplified equation to find out the value of this. So I just found out x1 and x2 values using the calculator. So this seems to be the x1 value and x2 values. And now this is not the end of the question. You have to understand, we have to work out the value of x. Since this is a triangle, we have to know the value of x, which is negative, has to be rejected. So we cannot use a value which is negative, since lengths cannot become negative. So I'm going to write that statement down, that lengths cannot become, let's just write that down so that you guys can understand. Lengths cannot become a negative value. Alright, lengths cannot become a negative value. So what we're going to do is our final answer is going to be x is equivalent to 6, since it is a positive value. So reject the value which is negative and accept the value which is positive. In this case, since x is equal to 6 and it is a positive number, we're going to say that x is going to be equivalent to 6. Now this seems to be the working out of this type of question. If you guys, this seems to be the end of the questions as well, and this is usually about 5 marks. So you can score those good 5 marks by stating the reason as well as the value. And this seems to be the end of the questions. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And do comment below on what your thoughts are about this video, and whether I should continue solving questions related to past papers, or about certain questions as well, topic related questions. And yeah, I think that's it. Just stay motivated, and you guys can do this. Good luck. And I think that's it, guys. Bye, guys.